Here it is. This is what you've been waiting for, folks. It is Friday, June 18th, and it is the Mike DeBalfo Artist Celebration. If you go to coffeecomicsshop.com right now, you can pick up one of these Mike DeBalfo exclusives. We got the Virgin Art editions of a lot of these classics from Mike DeBalfo. But without further ado, we're going to bring them on. The one and only Mad Mike DeBalfo. How you doing, Mike?
Good. How are you, man?
Doing great. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate that you're taking the time you're on vacation right now.
Yeah.
But you're so dedicated to the Sworn and the Fiends that you are here. You took the time to join us. We really appreciate that. How's it doing out there in
it's not Phoenix. It's much nicer. So it's great. The water is warm. The air is humid. The ocean is great.
Living the dream that all of us here in Arizona would wish we were with you right now. But
I know.
Holy cow! But thanks again. Really appreciate it. Right before we went on, I checked and I saw that all the Remark editions that we offered are all sold out. Congrats on that. Congrats on everyone who was able to pick one of those up. Very lucky folks.
Yeah, thanks to everybody who's stopped in. I got a few messages from people saying what they grabbed and bragging about what this and that. And a couple of guys got Remarks. So that's cool.
That is awesome. So one thing I was really excited to ask you about was I wanted to find out about the art itself and like the story behind it, because I love hearing the story behind the art. So let's take a look at this first one here. Let's see, what do we call it? Can you see that?
Yeah.
There? All right, so this is called the Pleasures Virgin Art Edition. And I'm not sure even where we originally offered it, but what's the story behind that? What kind of assignment was this?
They didn't tell me what it was going to be for. So when I found out it's for this, that was really cool because I was satisfied with the end result. And right before this, I had done a piece that it hadn't come out to the public yet, but people who know me saw it, and it was a bell piece I did for Zenescope, and everyone was like, "Oh, that's so nice! It looks so great!" Like blah 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 blah. You should do more of that. And I'm like, well, what did I do? I'm trying to pick at what made that piece so nice and appealing to people. So coming out of that and going into this, I was trying to level myself up, or at least keep it consistent with the piece that came out before it. See if I could hit 2 home runs in a row. So I wanted to do something that I don't think I should say I don't have a lot of experience doing. So many times as an artist we'll fall into our habitual poses and so on and so forth, and I wanted to take something outside of the box with this. So I did 3 or 4 thumbnails, and 2 of them were Lady Death laying down, and they all of them had an extreme perspective shot on the character, including this one. Anyway, long story short, Brian and Marshall ended up going with this one, and it just came together. And I don't even think in the original thumbnail, the layout, it had the wings, like the cape going with the wings. I don't think it had that in there. I remember Paolo Pantalena did something similar to that on a Lady Death cover some time ago, and I thought it was really cool. I was like, I wonder how that would look on this, and I just kind of messed around with it in a sketch, and I was like, oh wow, it looks really cool. It really frames her face and leads into the stretch of her arm and so on and so forth, and the design of the cover really it fell into place that way. And then with her hair, I love Lady Death with big hair, and I haven't done that in a while. I feel like I haven't done it this way in a long time, so I totally I pretended like I was drawing Rogue from X-Men and just made the hair, super big and crazy and all that. And I felt bad I didn't know who was coloring it going into it. I was like, oh man, I feel bad for the colorist, whoever's coloring this. But Sanju came in and he always knocks it out of the park, as you can see. It came out really nice at the end, and I'm super happy with what Sanju did on this. He did a killer job on it.
Yeah, I gotta agree that the hair is really standout, and it's amazing. And I don't know anything about art, but just how it lays out with the arm and everything come down. You can you see the face, and then it leads you down. It's almost leads the eye. It's everything just it's just so pleasing to the eye. It's just wow.
Yeah, like I said, I was trying to hit a home run, and I was pleasantly surprised when I saw the positive reaction to it from people. Like it popped up on the coffin store, and people were like, one, they were excited about the artist celebration, and then two, they're like, oh my god, that's like the coolest cover. So it's always like that's more of a payoff than anything when you get messages and emails like that from people who really dig what you did. That's what makes all the blood, sweat, and tears worthwhile. Is the nice comments.
So, and since we don't have any, you can't really get that feedback when you're sitting there drawing, and so that's so great about social media, because it's just as if you're at a con and people come up and really show their appreciation. You get the instant feedback. So almost as if a performing artist that like, oh, okay, cool, this is what they want. So yeah, that's so awesome with social media now, that you can actually hear that that your art actually touched someone and like brought some joy into their life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because we also have that one, and then we have the holofoil version.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Here, they're not. Let's see. Let me take a quick look. They are okay. They're still available. Not sold out. So the standard one, $25 for the Pleasure Virgin, and $66 for the Pleasure holofoil.
Nice.
Okay, let's take a look at.
Yeah, man.
What's the story on this one?
That one, I don't quite remember. It's a few years old now. I know it was repurposed for the event. I don't quite remember the story. I want to say in this one, if I remember correctly, I remember Brian saying he wanted something with prominent breasts. I think I remember him saying that. So that was like the priority task with drawing that one. I think is what it was, is to make the boobs stand out as much as possible. And I remember, God, this is so stupid. I remember in like 7th and 8th grade, me and my buddies, I forget how we found out about it, but we found out that if you ask a girl with big boobs to try to touch her elbows behind her back, her chest will stick out and her boobs become really prominent. So we used to do that in middle school all the time, and it's the dumbest kind of things pop into your head sometimes when you're conceptualizing these ideas that are pitched to you, because it's just words. That's all I get is words, And maybe that popped into my head, so I put Lady Death's arms up like that and her shoulders back, stuck her chest out as far as I could. And I know that's a lot of people's favorite cover. They tell me. People tell me they love that one a lot.
So it's like a grade school fantasy right here with.
Right.
That is awesome.
And it's so funny. Yeah, I mean, that's around the time that I started picking up comic books, and I had Lady Death #1. Probably 7th and 8th grade. It was probably around that time, so it was almost serendipitous that those two things work together that way.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's see. Also, not sold out yet. That's $25 for the Virgin Art, and then we also have the holofoil, $66, still available at the shop right now. Yeah, so we just launched this an hour ago, so folks,
that's crazy, man.
They're jumping on it right now. So
that's great. Get them while they're hot.
For sure. Okay, let's see what else we got. All right. Oh, this one. All right. One of my personal favorites.
Yeah, that one's one of my favorites too, actually.
I think for whatever I think it was like the first time I've ever seen anything in pink that we did for Lady Death, like. And then just that the pose. What's up with this? What can you tell us?
That's another older one. I think it was drawn around the same time as the previous one. This one I remember a little bit more specifically. I remember at this time I was going through a bit of a dry spell creatively, and I was having a hard time being original and coming up with new ideas. It happens, you get artist block, writer's block, so on and so forth. And I was just in this dry spell, and whenever I get pitched anything Lady Death or Coffin, it's like you got to bring your A game to this stuff, because the Fiends, they kind of demand it, So with this one,
they deserve it.
They absolutely deserve it. Yeah. I remember struggling with it for a little bit, and I kind of fell into like that earlier default mode, and I was like, well, let me do this kind of composition with the cropped 3/4 figure, so on and so forth, and make the pose just simple, so you can knock it out and hit on all your strengths with this piece. I vaguely remember a few of the other ideas that I pitched to Brian, but they were all along this line. And yeah, something happened during the process of it, and I kind of caught my wind again, and it came out a lot nicer than I hate to say it, a lot nicer than I anticipated, because I was having a hard time at the moment, just getting things from my mind onto paper, and in the long run, like you said, it was one of your favorites. It's one of my personal favorites, and so many people ask about this one. I know it's been repurposed several times. But the goal there was. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's almost like a side of Lady Death you don't normally see. It's almost playful a little bit. That
Yeah.
She's showing a little bit of vulnerability before she cuts your head off. And,
right. Yeah. Just teasing you.
Yeah, very fun. So, all right, that brings to mind too. So, like the costume designs, how do you come up with that? For
with Lady Death, like I know a lot of people play with her design and do a lot of crazy things. For me, I don't know, I'm such a traditionalist. Like I love 90s era comic books. So whenever I draw Lady Death, like I want to draw Lady Death the way Stephen Hughes did it. Like that's how I always think about it. Like I want to draw that costume. I want to draw it like it, not to ape off of him, but that's what I was most familiar with as a kid. So with her costume, I usually tend to lean more traditional, you know, the classic Lady Death from the 90s, so on and so forth. I like rendering her costume that way. I feel like if I put too much knickknacks on her here and there, it gets in the way of the rendering. And it's fun to draw that stuff, to noodle some of that out. But I was talking to Ryan Kincaid about this a couple of days ago. When you draw a character like Black Cat or somebody with the tight, leathery sorts of outfits, it's so much fun and also a pain in the ass to render that. But the reward at the end when you're done with it, it always looks so nice. It's so pleasing. So with Lady Death, that's usually my focus. Like I want to draw the Lady Death that I grew up with, you know.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, thanks.
Correct response. Yeah, so this hot pink version, $25. And then the holofoil, $66, still available. Grab it while you can.
Yeah, man.
Here's the other one, the Flicker. I know this one's been around as well, I believe.
Yeah, that's another one of my favorites, actually.
Yeah. Oh man, just the candle idea around that. How did you come up with that? That's so.
This one, I want to say this is one where Brian, every once in a while, he'll say it to me. He'll say, and I remember, I think it was this one specifically. He said, "Let's make this a piece where the devil's in the details." And I remember at the time, I think I was working at Aspen at the time drawing Soulfire, so I was like double timing it, drawing interior pages, and then trying to stay relevant with the outlet publishers that I also work with. So I was knocking out covers where I could. And when Brian's like, you know, it's time for the devil in the details sort of thing, I'm like, oh, Brian, you kill me, man. Like, I don't have time for details. Oh, my God. But again, like, one... Oh, right, exactly. Yeah, like I'm trying to hold the ship up, and it's bound to just nosedive into the ground. But this was another one where things just fell into place. I came up with the pose. I don't remember how I came up with the pose. Usually that's all off of my imagination. I'll come up with the pose off the top of my head, and then from there, as long as the pose is strong enough, I know I can play with the elements around her, like the idea with the cape, and the candles were sort of the same thing here. I had her pose, and I knew I can place objects around her to, again, lead the eye around, like you're saying earlier, and make the image work as like a circular, and make your eye work in like a circular fashion. So most specifically, I remember the devil in the details thing. So I remember going in there and like noodling the crap out of those candles. And it must have taken me a day just to draw all the candles. Because if you ever see the raw pencils, you'll see like I drew every little strand of wax and everything. It got pretty nutty for a little while.
That candle, a huge candle. That's like so much detail. It's like
yeah,
it's insane.
And they're all like that. Even the ones in the back, they all have their little dripping wax and everything.
I guess what stands out to this, which makes me just think about it, it's like her neck, really prominent. It's almost like one of the candles. It just seems like.
Right, yeah, she's got a long, sexy neck.
Yeah, it's just, being a vampire, I really attracted to that. But
that's
yeah,
cool.
Really cool. Yeah. Really neat. And then, so how did you come, so the other ones had the traditional Lady Death outfit. So this one and like the other one was like the the lingerie. So how do you come up with the lingerie style to do for these?
That's where the fun comes in. That's when I get to go on Google and search like lingerie models. you know, I'll do that. I'll go online. Where I have so many like Maxim magazines and stuff that I've just collected over the years when I was learning to draw. And now I use a lot of that stuff, even Playboy, every once in a while for attire, so to speak. So when it comes to lingerie things, I'll crack out some of those, go online, whatever I got to do, and sort of hodgepodge together ideas. It's pretty rare that I'll see something in a photograph and be like, oh, that's the lingerie I want to use, or that's the nightie that I want to put on her. A lot of times it's 4, 5, 6, 7 ideas with little elements here and there that I'll mentally piece together and then draw them down. So that was definitely the case with this one. I remember making it up as I went along and pulling ideas from images that I had laying around.
I know, you don't want to brag, but I know this is why you date supermodels, is so you can.
Yeah, I gotta keep my standards high, for the sake of keeping my job.
So this one too. So these, okay, not sold out yet. I should probably refresh the page, but right now, Naughty Flicker Virgin Edition, $25, and the Naughty Flicker Holofoil 66 still available right now. So jump on that. What else? And we also have print spokes too. If anything sells out, or if you also want to hang this on your wall, which of course you do. So you can also
Absolutely.
pick them as prints as well. What else? We did that. Okay, here we go. This one.
Oh yeah.
So this is the metal. We did this one as a metal edition. And what's the story on this?
That one I remember this. I probably remember this more specifically than any Coffin Comics cover I've done. That's the one where Brian hit me up and he wanted to do an homage to his original concept sketch of Lady Death. I don't know how many people have seen it in the Sworn Nation, but years ago when Brian was first conceptualizing Lady Death, he drew his own figure of Lady Death, and he hands that to me and goes, let's take this image, the pose, the outfit, the everything, and let's do a modern version of it. Let's make it more contemporary. And I'm like, oh man, that was so that was almost humbling. Like, oh my god, like Brian wants me to to work off of that original source material. That was super cool. So that was the exact idea with this, which was the version that came out a couple of years ago, the Jesse James. I think it was the Jesse James Comics version. Anyway, where she's got her regular attire on. And then with this one, he wanted to do something. With this version here, we did different hair, we did a different costume, we moved her hands around. He wanted to make it just spice it up a little bit, I guess is what you could say. I forget what he said about the costume, though. I forget how he came up with that design.
Yeah,
it was like 3 years ago.
Yeah, but it feels like his. I can imagine the sketch right now. It's kind of like it was more like it's kind of the same outfit, but if I can find that sketch, we could compare it. But
yeah, if you can find it, you have to post it somewhere so people can see it. But that's what that whole cover was really based off of. Was Brian's original concept of Lady Death.
That's awesome. I knew it looked familiar. Right? I'm like, why is that so? So it was like, yeah, that's the visual concept. Wow. So it's as if you went back in time when Brian's like designing her the very first time, his concept sketch, and then boom. So it's like
exactly. What if, right? Exactly. Like, what if you're that guy? So I got to be that guy for a day. That was pretty cool.
Awesome. Okay. Let's see, folks. If you have any questions for Mike, throw them in here. So
go ahead.
So I told folks that we're going to talk about the new editions, and your career. So give us a quick overview of how did you get from? I'm assuming when did you start drawing?
Oh man, I started drawing. I was super young. I mean, I remember drawing my whole life. I remember us being 3 or 4 years old, and my parents, they both worked, and they would drop me off at their friend's house, and she would babysit me and my sister while my parents were at work. And I remember being there in my toddler ages and drawing like monster trucks and dinosaurs and anything I thought was cool at the time. And nobody ever told me that I was good at drawing. I just enjoyed doing it. And so I started going to school, and I was always drawing during school. I failed 3rd grade. I failed 7th grade. I failed 8th grade. I went to summer school every year for 4 years straight in high school, except for my senior year. So I was always drawing. And it's so weird, like growing up, everyone was like, "Oh, you should be an artist when you grow up, Mike. You should be an artist." And I fought it for some reason because I was a stupid teenager. I wanted to make my life more difficult. So I fought it for a long time, and it wasn't until after I got out of high school that I was like, all right, well, maybe I should. I suck at everything else I've been doing, so maybe I should pursue art. And so I applied to the Kubert School, did 2 years there, and then I moved to Phoenix after my 2nd year, and kept drawing on my own. I learned so much at the Kubert School in 2 years that I knew I was missing out, so I kept drawing. And 6 years later, I got my act together when my first kid was born, and I was kind of sitting there thinking, like, oh, I got a daughter now, and I wanted her to be proud of me. I wanted to show that no matter what, you can achieve your dreams, no matter how old you are, how much time has passed since you, quote, given up on it, which I essentially did at the time. I was like, I'm a family man now. I'm settling down, and then one day I was like, no, I want her to be proud of me. I want to show her something. So I spent a year kind of catching myself back up on art and studying anatomy hardcore and anything that I was weak on. And God, I'm trying to make the story as short as possible. Long story short, I ended up meeting Raymond Gregory, who was working at Zenescope at the time, and he happened to live in Phoenix too. And he hit me up and he's like, oh, hey, why don't you do a couple of spec covers for Zenescope, and maybe we could work on something with you. And in my mind, I was like, okay, that's cool, but I'm not expecting anything because nobody breaks into the industry as a cover artist. You have to get so much clout under your belt before you can become a cover artist, and I've never been published before, so I didn't expect anything of it. And maybe 3 or 4 months later, Raven hits me up after I submitted. I was submitting a lot of pieces to them. Every couple of weeks, I was sending something new. So anyway, he hits me up eventually. He goes, hey, we want to use this image as a cover for Wonderland Annual #1 that's coming out in May. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I've never been published before. Like, you guys want to put me on a cover? Like, what if it doesn't sell? Nobody knows who I am. I wasn't saying this to him, but in my head, I was like, this isn't really happening. People don't break into the industry as a cover artist. This is back in 2009, before it happened as often as it does these days. So from there, a year later, I met Brian at Tucson Comic-Con. He was sitting a table or two down from me, and I was pretty nervous. I was like, "Oh my god! Like I'm almost sitting next to Brian Polito. Like it's kind of a big deal, And he was just starting Coffin at the time. It was just him and Fran, I think, just running at that time. And he comes over to me, and I had some prints and stuff hanging up, and I wasn't making so many sales, so I dropped my prices down like $5 or $10 per print. And he comes over and he's flipping through my portfolio. He goes, "Oh, you do nice work, making small talk, so on and so forth." And he goes, "Oh, why'd you drop your print prices?" And I go, "Oh, well, I wasn't making too many sales, so I wanted to price myself back into the market." He goes, "No, you don't need to do that. You're good enough where you can charge what you want to charge for these things, and people are going to pay them or they're not." He said, "Don't change your prices." And that was the first piece of business advice I'd ever gotten from anybody in the industry. Brian told me not to negotiate my prices. My prices are my price, and if you don't like it, well, sorry about that. God, there's so much to tell. Like I said, I don't want to sit here all day and tell every single detail. But yeah, started in 2009, doing covers for Zenescope. I started working with Coffin shortly after that, then Aspen, and then Pandemonium and Chaos and antics ever since.
So the first time I met you, I believe it was at the Phoenix Comic-Con when you were doing this right here. Boom.
Yeah.
Doing live before, what do we call it? The
Instant Edition. Yeah, remember that. Mm-hmm.
Instant Edition, yeah. So what's it like to do live on the spot, a cover in front of everyone? And I know we've broadcasted it live, so it's just like all this pressure. Everyone's watching. Everyone's like pre-ordering it. Everyone's getting on it. So what's there you go, that one. I'm not sure what year that was. What's it like to do that?
It's going in, I'm always more nervous going into it than I am when it actually starts to happen. I think I could attest to maybe like stage fright. Like you're more nervous backstage waiting to go out and perform than you are nervous in the actual process of doing it. And it's the same thing here. Every time I'm leading up to it, I'm like, oh man, I can't mess this up. Blah 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 blah. You know. So, but once I get into the page there and there's people around and Brian or Fran or Brandy is broadcasting it, it's pretty easy to kind of tune everything out and just focus on what I'm doing. The hardest part is getting it all done within an hour, because I'm the first to admit it. I'm notoriously not a fast drawer. I just don't draw fast. So a lot of that is to design an image that I know I can knock out within an hour that looks good, and not rely completely on my colorist to save it in the end. But it's always fun. Every time I did it, I tried to make it faster than the year before, and I think the last time I did it, we got it down to like 40 or 45 minutes. I was done, 50 minutes ahead of time, and each year was a little bit quicker, which is kind of cool.
Well, let's see if we got any comments here or questions for you. Let's see. Trey, hey Mike.
Hey.
Bobby. Lady Def rocks.
Yes, she does.
Yeah, Savage. Here's a good one from Christine. Is there a scene or a pose you haven't done yet with Lady Def that you want to do in the future?
Yeah, we were talking a little bit earlier about the new cover that came out today, and how I did 2 layouts that were laying down poses. I want to do that with Lady Death, and I saw Sabine Rich do one recently where Lady Death is laying down in a coffin. And that's not especially what sparked my thought of it, but it definitely caused me to think more about it, especially recently, because that was such a cool piece. Like, oh, what a great looking piece that is, with her laying in a coffin. And I've seen it's a pose I never get to do a lot. I think that's what's appealing to it about me. It's a little bit more challenging drawing a figure laying down, because you can't fall on your habits for drawing the hair. Same thing with like the legs. There's parts of the image you can't quite draw the same if the character is standing up. And so I've been trying to weasel that in there somewhere. Now one day I'll get it. It'll happen eventually.
It's a good question, Kristen. Let's see. Terry, sexy as always. Mike DeBalfo.
Thanks, Terry, man.
See, Michael saying, research done at strip bars always comes in handy. Well,
yes, it does.
You got to do what you got to do.
I haven't figured out how to write it off my taxes yet, but I'm working on that.
It's always worth a try. DeBalfo, you rock. Hell yeah,
Thanks,
Michael.
Man.
Let's see. We'd love to have 11x17 print of this pink cover. Yeah, I guess we didn't
cool.
offer that one. Yeah, good. All right, noted. Travis, so stoked. Yeah, loving your stuff. Amazing.
Cool, man.
This is Chris.
Thank you.
Let's see. Let's see. So, Michael, I had to go with the blue option as it go well with the new statue. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Very cool.
Good call. Let's see. Kristen, once again, Mike does the best Lady Def art. Hell yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Tom, love the 80s hair.
Yeah, man.
Hell yeah. Yeah, and I love the sick covers. Yeah. So speaking of 80s hair, I also mentioned here that we're going to talk a little bit about MANOWAR.
Oh, okay, man.
So let's just review this real quick. Let's just take a look at this video right here.
Oh, you got a video?
Let's enjoy MANOWAR. So, yeah. There we go.
So good.
Yeah, we got guitars.
Hear the pounding.
I turned that down a bit. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Doing research before the interview, I always like to tease you about MANOWAR, but you know what? Actually, they're a really good power metal band.
They really are. I've been telling people for years. If you can get past the cheese, they're really talented musicians. I mean, especially their guitar player.
I
think they get better with age, honestly.
Yeah.
Like
But-
their later albums, I like quite a bit more. Except for Hail and Hail the King or Hail and Kill. I can't remember the name of the album now. It's completely slipping me, of course. But
So I got them confused with another band called Bolt Thrower because they kind of have the same type of
yeah.
albums.
Mhm.
So I thought these guys were bolt throwers, but when I was listening to Manowar, I'm like, oh wait, this is power metal. This is totally different. This is
Yeah, did you think it was like hair metal?
No, I thought it was more like almost like death metal. It's because Bolt Thrower is more of like just growl vocals and everything. So
No, they're straight up power metal. Yeah.
all right, so let's listen to this one real quick. This is a newer version. This song here reminds me of Coffin Comics.
Said my friends are over there.
I get the chorus here.
They call themselves immortals. They're the truest of the true. And in I was born again like you. They said, hold your head up high, raise your fist up in the air, play metal louder than hell, louder than hell. They can't stop us.
Tough, man.
So the new stuff, like holy cow! I saw
Yeah,
a
they
live,
got nice
I
full
saw-
sound.
I saw them live in Europe, and are just like huge stadiums. Everyone's going nuts. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
where have I been?
That's
Thank you, Mike
kind
DeBalfo.
of what I say too. Like it's all fun and games, but it's like the rest of the world loves Manowar, and America's like, no, Manowar sucks. It's like soccer and football. Like, no, the rest of the world is probably not wrong. We probably are wrong. But yeah, they were recorded as a loud. I think they still hold the Guinness Book of World Records for loudest band on Earth too. I think they still hold it. I know they had the record, and then the Foo Fighters came in and beat them, and I know Manowar came back and stole it again, and I don't know if anybody's taken the top of the claim yet on top of them.
We got to research that. Yeah, I always thought it
Yeah.
was Kiss. Or Kiss claims they're the best, biggest, and loudest everything. So
They might have been. I know Manowar definitely did come in, and for a long through the '90s for a long time. Yeah, they were recorded as the loudest band on Earth. And you have to check and see if it still holds current.
Michael has a good comment. Is Brian going to bring them to Swarmfest? That would be amazing. If we
Oh
did.
my God, that would be amazing! It's so funny. The last time they
Oh
came,
my
they don't tour America a lot. Last time they came to America, the closest they were coming to Phoenix was Chicago. So I was actually going to fly to Chicago to go see them. And I don't remember why, but they ended up abruptly canceling the tour. This was maybe 5 to 7 years ago. They canceled the tour, and I didn't get to see them. So I'm so jealous you got to see them live. I've never had a chance to.
Oh, I just saw them live on YouTube. That's all.
Oh, on the video, okay.
Yeah.
Their thing is, their whole thing is that other bands play Manowar kills, and I'm like, how do you get better than that, man? You know?
Yeah, try saying the Crown and the Ring album is where Hail and the Kill is from. Oh, awesome.
Hail and Kill song is freaking amazing. It's an amazing song.
Oh, we got Billy from Econ here. Economics and Comics. What's up?
Hey, Billy, what's up, man?
Sick. Oh, here's a good question. What's the funniest story you've had about cosplayers working at your booth? Do you have any?
Man. Not necessarily funny stories, but impressive stories. Like, especially when I was working with Jessica Negri. Like, that girl just pulls in people. The first time, well, I'll talk about when I did the Squirrel Girl thing back in 2012. I had 4 cosplayers at my booth, and it was an average, show up until that point. I brought them out at Phoenix Comic Con, and things were going normal. And then once these 4 girls showed up to my booth dressed as these characters, there was just like a mob of people all over the place. Somebody, I don't remember, it was like one of the show liaisons or somebody with the show had to come over and kind of wrangle the crowd in because they were blocking the entire aisle. And if you've ever been to Phoenix Comic Con in Artist Alley, you know how wide those aisles are. The aisles were just full of people coming up there to see people, to see these girls. And they weren't necessarily there to spend money, but they were there to take pictures with these girls. And they were so patient with everyone who came up to see them. Like, everybody wanted a picture. And there had to be, I don't know how, I won't say 100, but enough people where it took several hours for things to calm down. But as far as funny stories, oh man, I can't say anything funny has happened, because here's how cosplayers work. Like, they're your friend at the show while you're promoting them and making them money, and then after the show, no matter who you are, no, you're not their friend anymore. They're gonna go do whatever they want with whatever, whoever, whatever. You don't ever see them again until the next day when it's time for them to show up at work again. So I never hung out with cosplayers after the shows or anything like that.
Sounds like high school
honestly,
all over again.
That, and I honestly, like, Ryan Kincaid can attest. Like, I don't think they can hang out with us after the show and hold up. We used to party pretty hard. So
awesome. All right. So I see. Or at the time right here, I don't want to take up too much time of your vacation. So once again, thank you, everybody. Go check out coffeecomicsshop.com. We've got all the Mike DeBalfo exclusives because we are celebrating Mike and his amazing artwork. And as a human, as a person, we really appreciate you. You one of the top of the top. Yeah, so it seems like Coffin Comics only attracts the best artists and the best people as well. So we really appreciate that. Anything else you want to say before we sign off?
No, I express my gratitude. You guys are the best. I mean, the fans, crew, the art, like you said, the subject matter. It's all some of the best that I get to work with. It's so humbling and it's an honor that you guys keep coming back to me for more. So my eternal gratitude and thanks to you guys, Sworn Nation, Coffin crew, all you guys. I love you guys.
Awesome. Whoop. Did the wrong thing. Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, man.
It's all on me. And don't forget, everyone, come join us at Sworn Fest next year, and we're going to shoot a commercial in and out that way. So thanks, everyone. Stay sworn.
Swornfest, Swornfest, Swornfest. Swornfest, the global gathering for Coffin Comics fiends and the Sworn, featuring exclusive parties, artists, signings, commissions, panels, beer, food, coffee, alcohol, tours of HQV2, trading posts, CGC, friendship, community, camaraderie, shenanigans, insanity, and more.
Plan ahead. Be there.
Tickets and details on sale now at coffincomics.net/Swornfest.
Presented by Coffin Comics. Swornfest, Swornfest.
February 25th through 27th, 2022, Mesa, Arizona, USA.
Sworn.